Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. This is number 4 in the Dark Eyes set. Yep, we've finally reached the end of the line as it comes to Dark Eyes 1. Now I know you've probably been hanging around with me, listening to all the others. We've been treating them as individual stories, but, as with any arc, you get one story at the end which tries to sew everything up together. This episode goes under the very dull name of X and the Daleks. The sort of thing as a writer you would write in the corner of a margin and basically put a little arrow to it and go, I'll come back to that one later and fix it. X and the Daleks. Which kind of makes sense for this story because there is a person, played by the same person who played the evil mind of the 11th Doctor in Amy's Choice, who, as far as I'm concerned, really does sound a lot like Toby Haydock. And you know what? I'm sure Toby would have cost a lot less to hire. I only realised it's him because there's a picture of him on the front of the box. He is, of course, the main villain / protagonist, the person who's in league with the Daleks. Now also, we've got Peter Egan in this story, so the cast's fairly good. Peter Egan, for anyone who doesn't know, was the guy who I thought was the captain in Cold War. That's really not important / helpful. Now there's a fine line between finishing off a story with too much exposition and just giving the right amount of exposition to keep the audience happy. Now, as I've said, this is a load of Doctor Who fans who've all paid their money, so we're all paying attention. So on the exposition front, we don't need as much as most people would, who was, say, listening to Radio 4 drama in the afternoon, who were driving somewhere, so they could go, oh yeah, got it now. Of course, the main thrust of this is why we need to find out why, A, Molly has actually got dark eyes, B, thus revealing how the story's got its name, B, working out what the Daleks are up to with their giant map, C, working out what the Time Lords are up to, especially Straxus, and D, provide some sort of end to the story. All of these things work and fit. I won't bother giving you spoilers because this is a listen along to and immediate reaction to, and I'm just assuming you've already heard it. So what have we got? Well, as always, we've got a fantastic performance by McGann. He is brilliant throughout the entirety of these 4 stories. We've got retrogenitor particles, i.e. the meaning or the whole point of the story. Something that is perhaps just an integral part of the Daleks' planet. They're particles that can be used in various bits of technology. They're fairly powerful and need to be gestated inside a person. The person, of course, was chosen to be Molly. And all of this takes place on a world which I'm sure is referenced in Gallifrey, where the Time Lords can't regenerate. If a Time Lord dies here due to the background radiation, they stay dead. Ooh, scary place for the Time Lords. Surprisingly, it's never been done on TV, which is odd, because it kind of makes sense to have that sort of threat. But then you could see it being used time and time again by writers, like deadlock doors, as some sort of shorthand for threat. So perhaps it's best that the people at the TV just haven't nicked this idea. So, apart from giving out some spoilers, which I really don't want to do, what can I say about this story? Well, it manages to sum up everything that's been going on particularly well. Yes, there's a very boring bit of climbing down, but then again, if you remember the Pertwee Dalek story where they were doing lots of climbing down, or indeed the original Dalek story, yep, that's still just as boring. Climbing down long shafts is integral to the history of the Daleks. Perhaps. Does the story itself work well? Yes. Is Molly one of the best companions ever to come out of Big Finish? Without question. Paul McGann was recently interviewed and said she manages to steal the show. Well, she does. Her performance is exquisite. She hits the ground running, as I've heard so many times said, and as I've said so many times myself about Big Finish. And so we have basically a great story. Yes, I can see why it won awards. The soundscape alone is worthy of something like that. But is it truly a marvellous thing? Well, yeah, it's a McGann series. It's self-contained, it's an arc, it's a proper story, it has a beginning, a middle and an end, and at the end, it doesn't really change anything. You see, if you mess about with history, you either change it, and then we're all stuck with the consequences, or you have to go back and fix it. See Jubilee, for example. And that can spoil a story. Well, not here. It works. So thank you, Big Finish, and thank you, dear listener. No, seriously though, thank you for joining me as we went back through Big Finish's Dark Eyes. If you'd like me to cover Dark Eyes Series 2 in the same sort of format, I'm more than willing. Please email me. If you'd rather I did just a quick review, here it is. No, perhaps I'll save that for another time. And so, next time I'll be back reviewing more Big Finish and more Doctor Who randomly done. Probably Trenzalo Tales, I think. Perhaps not. Be seeing you. You've been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its connected properties are copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. Whostrology, a Time Traveller's Almanac, is available through Telos Publishing or Amazon. Visit www.whostrology.com for further information. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.
Everything happens for a reason. That's what I tell myself. That's what I have to believe.
Another storm season, the 5th in a row. Freezing rain and biting wind, night and day. Night and day. But worst at night. You're exhausted. Hungry. So hungry. And the storm won't let you sleep. It gets through the broken window frames. Beats on the lashed up plastic sheeting we use because there's not a place with a roof left in the entire city. We live in the ruins of our world. Starving and broken. Scratching around for some hope. But there's nothing but existence.
Planet Nexus 7, bang on target. Well done, old girl, well done, me. Looks like a Dalek robotization plant. Pretty big, too. Nasty piece of work. Right, now then, let's find out what they're up to.
My assessment is that this is a major disaster involving an underground explosion with consequent burial and crushing of over...
Take charge of the situation!
I've already taken charge.
Robotization process complete! You will obey Dalek commands without question!
I will obey without question.